Good evening, everyone. Before we start, allow me to introduce myself first. I am Nina Dokdok, your reporter for tonight. Tonight, we're going to tackle about common acid-base reactions. So before that, let us get to know what are acids and bases. What are they and what happens when they react? Acids. Acids are substances that increase the concentration of H plus or the hydrogen ion when dissolved in water. This definition is from Arrhenius. Acids are also called proton donors, which is according to Bronsted-Lowry. There are two types of acids, the strong and the weak acids. Strong acids includes perchloric acid, hydrochloric acid, hydrobromic acid, and many more. Weak acids includes acetic acid, phosphoric acid, and carbonic acid. Bases, on the other hand, are substances that increase the concentration of OH negative or the hydroxide ion when dissolved in water. Bases are also called proton acceptors. Bases have two types, the strong and the weak bases. Strong bases are lithium hydroxide, sodium hydroxide, and potassium hydroxide, while the weak bases are ammonia, pyridine, and methylamine. pH. pH stands for potential of hydrogen. pH is a measure how acidic or basic a solution is. pH scale is a scale used to specify the acidity or basicity of an aqueous solution. Acid-base reactions. An acid-base reaction is one in which a hydrogen ion, which is the H+, is transferred from one chemical species to one another. Acid-base reaction is a chemical reaction that occurs between an acid and a base. It can be used to determine pH. The reaction between an acid and a base is called neutralization reaction. When an acid and base react to each other, the characteristic properties of both are destroyed. This is what we call neutralization, a reaction between an acid and a base which result in the production of salt and water. Again, neutralization is a reaction between an acid and a base which results in the production of salt and water. So when acid and base reacts to each other, they can produce salt and water. The general formula for acid-base reaction is acid plus base, which will produce salt and water. The acid and base are the reactants here, while the products are the salt and water. Now, you might be thinking of salt or the sodium chloride as the table salt that you put in your food that will be served in your dinner or breakfast. However, a salt in chemistry is any ionic compound formed from an acid-base reaction. Again, salt in chemistry is any ionic compound formed from an acid-base reaction. Always remember that, guys. It might be included in the quiz, so better don't forget it. So this is the neutralization reaction equation. HCl plus NaOH or the sodium hydroxide. So anyway, guys, it's HCl, not HCI. I was mistaken when I wrote it last night. I'm sorry. So it's HCl, the hydrochloric acid. Now, we can tell that it is an acid because acid typically starts with hydrogen, which is the H. And Base, on the other hand, typically ends in OH or the hydroxide. So this is how it will work. The hydrogen from the acid is gonna bond from the base to form our water here. This is our water. That's H2O. Then the positive ion, remember that sodium is positive and the hydroxide is the negative one. And the chloride, which is the Cl, is the negative ion here, and the hydrogen is the positive one. So the positive ion from the base bonds with the negative ion from the acid to produce our salt here. So this is our salt. When we write for the chemical formula for the salt here, always remember that the positive ion comes first. And the positive ion here is the sodium. When we're writing a chemical form or symbols, always remember that the positive one comes first, not the negative one. So it should be NaCl or the sodium chloride. So we will put AQ here because sodium chloride is soluble in water. And we put L here in the H2O as the liquid form. Then next, let me show you some examples. So to test if you are really listening from our discussion, let's try to answer this example number 1. Predict the products and balance the chemical equation. Number 1, nitric acid plus lithium hydroxide. So these are the reactants. I'll give you is 30 seconds enough to answer that? I bet it's enough. Sana all enough, char lang. So diretso na lang natos answer para madali. So this is the answer. If you guys had same answer with this, so you're correct. If not, we'll figure it out. So, just like earlier, matong discuss the acid. Here is the nitric acid and the base is the lithium hydroxide as it ends with OH. So the positive ion from the acid will bend from the negative ion from the base to form our water here. This is our water. And the positive ion from the base will bend from the negative ion from the acid to produce salt. So this is our salt. So always remember that if in writing chemical forms, should be the positive comes first and the negative 1. So the positive here is the lithium. Then NO3 or the nitrate will be the next because it's the negative ion. So our products are lithium nitrate and H2O. So lithium nitrate is soluble in water, that's why we put AQ. And the H2O we put L because it's in a liquid state. And then to balance the chemical equation of these reactants and products, just look at the chemical formula here from the reactants. So we have, let's start first with the oxygen. We have 4 oxygen, 3 from the acid and 1 from the base. So we have it here, 3 from the acid and 1 from the base, which is in the salt, the 3 oxygen, and 1 oxygen is in the water. So the Li here in the base is in the salt, and the hydrogen, we have 2 hydrogen, the H from the acid and 1 H from the base, so that's why we have H2 here in the water. And the nitrate here is the N. So that's it. I hope you understand. So if you want more examples, I'll show you some. If you want to answer this, example number 2 and the example number 3, predict the products and balance the chemical equations. So if you guys want to answer that, just send me if what are your answers so that I can check for the plus points. So that would be all for my discussion. Thank you for listening. I hope you learned something. Bye everyone.